Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Special treat for you today, kids. Extra special asshole today, which you can find at assholeconsulting.com. I have one request here. Patrick writes, it's about Brexit. It says, will the UK remain in the European Union on June 23rd? In the event that the UK does leave the EU, will they divest their sovereign funds from major European banks? Then I have another request. Where'd it go? Aaron writes, let me pull it up. Brexit video request. Captain, would you let us know your take on the Brexit referendum and what it means for the euro if the UK decides to part ways with the EU? I know the UK doesn't use the euro as their currency. If the UK does leave the EU, does it benefit the US dollar over the euro? Please let us know your thoughts. Aaron, you know what? As a extra special asshole, I charged them both, and I'm going to do one video, because that's how we roll at Asshole Consulting. Actually, I'll answer the individual questions. I had to do some research, because there's other people asking me about it more in a professional manner. But let us go through what Brexit is, and we'll get to the individual questions. Okay, so Brexit is the British exit from the European Union, or the EU. And you say, well, what the fuck is the EU? Well, the EU was put together back in the olden days, because basically they look and say, look, we got a bunch of countries here. We all have our individual currencies. We all have our individual languages. We'd like to trade. We'd like to conduct business. If we just had one currency and had some kind of supranational rules and regulations, international rules and regulations that would govern international trade, that would make things a lot easier. So instead of having 40 different countries, however many countries there are in Europe, let's all have one currency. That'll make it a lot easier in terms of the exchange rate, and have a European Commission kind of be the body that will be the referee and set down the rules and regulations that will all abide by to make basically economic trade and commerce a lot easier between the countries. And it's a good idea on paper, and it is a good idea. You will save a lot of time, effort, and money in paperwork, right? Well, Britain joined the European Union, but it said no to the euro, the universal European currency. So that's why you still have the British pound, and mainland Europe mostly has the euro. Okay, so it is part of the EU. You say, okay, let's agree with some of these rules and regulations. We'll abide by it so we can have trade and stuff like that. Now, in addition to allowing you to invest in different countries across border, across international ownership, you're also allowed that if you are a citizen of an EU member country, you could go and work anywhere you want in the EU. So labor is also mobile. So they'll start to parlay into something as well, because it seems mainland Europe just can't get enough Muslim cock. You just can't be pro-diversity enough. So that means as all these refugees come in, most of which aren't refugees, they can move anywhere in the European Union, including the UK. They have some issues with that, as you'll see later. So what are the arguments against? So Brexit, they're going to have a referendum on the 23rd. So it's going to go to the British people and say, hey, do you want to stick in this thing or not? Now, the arguments against it, they're largely sovereign, economic, and just self-respecting, I'd have to say. But I've listed them out here. Basically, the European Commission, the European Union doesn't operate without a budget, so everyone's got to chip in. The United Kingdom, I think it was 2015, they chipped in 11 billion euro, of which they only received half of that back. And there's a nice little chart, if you do the research. It shows you what are net contributors and net takers. So kind of like the up-and-comings, the Baltics and all that, they're receiving more than they put in. And the Brits are like, hey, dude, why are we paying so much if we're only going to get half of it back? You know, I give you $2, you give me $1 back. I think you'd agree with that all day, but I don't. All right. Now, of course, you have to put this in context. A lot of people say, oh my God, it's costing the British. It's really not. If you look at the euro, its budget, sorry, the European Union, European Commission. If you look at its budget relative to European GDP, it's about 1%. It's 155 billion euros, and the GDP of Europe, or the European Union, is 14 trillion. So you could say that it's roughly 1%, 1% and change. And you could probably make a pretty good compelling argument that getting rid of all these inefficiencies and exchange rates and all that, you're probably saving about 1%. So I'm not really a big believer in that the European Union is costing its member countries a lot, or it's pissing away a lot of money. And there still is, don't you worry, there's plenty of graft and bribery and fat. I mean, these European commissioners are just living high off the hog, and we'll get to them later. But the real issue is an element of not only violating or invading one's sovereignty of a nation, but also when it comes to economics is the regulation. It's becoming a bit onerous. Businesses and people are saying, fuck you, why do we got to follow these people in Brussels? Yeah, these idiots in Brussels. Brussels is where the European Union is headquartered. So it's essentially, it intended to be kind of this referee, let's make things all a little bit better. But when you put in a commission that everybody has to abide by, well, that's basically another layer of government. And now, like all governments, it's probably starting to overreach its boundaries, and like all government officials, even if you're not voted in, you're just a corrupt fuck, and they have all these benefits. I think they pay I think if you're an EU official, you only pay like a 21% flat tax, so they're just like our politicians in the United States, where it's like, oh, we're special, we don't need Social Security, we have our own special congressional retirement plan. So that is that's one of it's more of the regulation and the next level, another layer of government that no one really wanted to answer to, and they say, fuck you, you're not elected, you don't own us, we're Britain. So sovereignty and regulation is another reason. Another thing related to labor being in a move all over the place is you have an influx of the former Soviet bloc countries, Eastern Europe, flooding the Western European nations with cheap labor. And so this lowers wages. It affects the income of the domestic Britons. It's kind of like how we've outsourced all of our manufacturing to China because it's cheaper over there, and it's cost us our manufacturing base here, except it's the labor, because hey, if you're part of the EU, you can move wherever you want, work wherever you want. So there's that complaint there. But probably a bigger one, I'd have to say, is all the welfare seekers coming in, not just from Eastern Europe. There's certainly those there. You got your gypsies coming in and scamming everybody. But then also you have those wonderful Muslims that just come in from the Mideast and the religion of peace, and they just and some of them do work. Don't get me wrong. There's always good and bad in every group. But like here in the United States, the immigrants that come in, they go on welfare, depending on the study you want to cite, at least twice the rate of the domestics. So these people are like, fuck you, you're not British, get the fuck out of here, and on top of it, you're lazy fucks, you're just living off of it. Of course, they're simply just self-respecting fucks. If you moron fucks in Britain are going to vote this shit in, you women just want to, let's just feed the whole world in the neighborhood with my husband's money, and you just vote in for all these people and diversity, yeah? You guys kind of did it to yourself because you allowed this to happen. That's why hopefully maybe you guys get your head out of your ass in Britain, you vote against this shit. But anyway, you can't really blame people if you're going to say, hey, we're going to give you free money and come here and oh yeah, okay, I'll take free money. I'll come to Britain and get you free money. Shit, that's my plan. If I ever lose my job, I'm going on welfare. I'm going on the dole, man. I'm done working, and you stupid liberal motherfuckers are going to pay for me for a change. So they're also, I'd probably say, more against migration. They're particularly worried about Turkey because Muslim population again there. And then there's this little crime thing, specifically rape. Ever hear of the Rotterdam rapes? This diversity, yay! So 1,400 kids were like molested, raped in some sex prostitution ring, and oh my gosh, they say Asians, I think they're all from Pakistan, because that's how we cover it up. No one's onto that. No one's seeing through that. They're bullshit UK government people and mouthpieces and media types. Yeah, no one. Asians, right? Yeah, the guys from Japan they got that child rape ring going on in Rotterdam. So there's some kind of safety concerns and and the birth rates, and the British are like, hey, we'd like to remain British, and fuck you, you're racist, diversity and multiculturalism uber alles. So those are the arguments against it. They don't want to be parasited off of anymore. They want their jobs. They don't want to be killed. They don't want their children being raped. They want their sovereignty. They don't want to answer to a fourth layer of government. And, the other thing is they're sick and tired of bailing out losers like Greece. That's another thing. And let's be clear, it's not just if you have darker skin, you're a welfare bum or something. The Greeks, Western nation, they're the biggest parasites of them all. And then to another extent, you'd have the pigs? Portugal, Italy, what's the other I? Portugal, or is it two G's? Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain? But Greece being the most egregious violator. But if you look at a lot of the European countries, you just have white people that don't want to work either. And you can find them pretty much surrounding the Mediterranean. Going to drink my vino espresso, drive my moped around. Americana chica, hello. I'm Antonio. Wait, no, that's Spanish. What's an Italian name? Guido. I am Guido. I live with my mother. But I have nice mustache and I wear fancy clothes. Ciao. So that's where it basically say, fuck this, we don't want to pay for these welfare. Basically, mainland Europe, if you're not aware, is a socialist shithole. But the UK is a socialist shithole, so I really don't have a lot of skin in the game. I'm just trying to explain it to you guys who want to know what's going on. So those are the arguments for Brexit. And then there are the arguments against Brexit for Britain to stay in the United Kingdom. And these are really weak and specious, and they're just weak. They're just pathetic, and they come from the mouthpiece. They come from the establishments. They're coming from government. They're coming from non-profits. They're coming from academia, and they all. When I say they're weak, it's like it doesn't make any sense, or they don't provide any proof. It's all speculation, and frankly, it's fear mongering. So one is that there won't be any free trade. That Britain's economy will tank because there won't be any free trade. Well, that's bullshit, because it's like, really? There won't be any free trade? You can't have trade agreements with mainland Europe? I'm sorry. Britain is quite large. I think it's about fifth the economy. I'd have to look up the statistics. You're not going to trade with 20 or 25% of the European economy? Bullshit, you will. And Britain doesn't have to be part of this European Union forking over roughly 1% of their GDP. When a simple agreement, a trade agreement with the European Union would be fine. Yeah, we're going to have free trade. Like us with Britain. We have free trade. One country to another country. We don't need to be part of the union to trade for free. So that's academia and international economist posers. These frauds, all these economists that claim to be real economists, they're not real economists. I'm a real economist. These guys they're not. They've never worked in the real world. They don't know jack shit. So there's that. Then they're worried, what happened to the stock market? Who gives a shit what happens to the stock market? Nothing's going to happen to the stock market. You want to know why? Because Britain still produces shit. Its companies produce goods and services. It's the profit that's going to drive it. On top of it, they're also on their own central banking system. They have their own currency. So the British stock markets will keep going up because they're doing quantitative easing as well. So it doesn't matter whether your profits are, the stock price will still go up because you're flooding the market with money, or pounds in this case. So... so what? The stocks go down. Good stocks going down is great. That means it's cheaper for us younger people to maybe finally get in on the stock market and buy a stock that actually pays more than a 2% dividend yield. But once again, why would a country leaving a European zone or a trade zone, what would that have? What, they're not going to produce anything anymore? No one's going to buy a Range Rover anymore? You're not going to go get British beer? Are you kidding me? You already have to have an exchange rate. It's already there. That's the biggest hurdle in international trade, is your exchange rate. What the fuck? What does it matter if you belong to this cult or club over there in mainland socialist Europe? Another thing, the exchange rate. What happened to the exchange rate? This is a question that both of the clients had. I don't know. And that's why I'm a really great economist. I claim to not know, because I don't know. Nobody knows. I would imagine if Britain gets its shit together over it cuts off immigration, it cuts off the parasites, and this is a big, there's so many things Britain would have to do. Have to lower its income taxes, have to get rid of its corporate taxes, and have to pursue a pro-growth policy, and have to stop bailing out its degenerates, including, I'm not just pointing at the immigrants now, I'm pointing to the domestic ladies who I see pictures all the time, just passed out with your vag shown to the world, until the locals stop breeding and start majoring in engineering and stop partying, getting drunk every night, and start producing something. If that were to happen, then the pound would gain against the euro. But I would honestly say, after there might be a spike up because, Britain now is a sovereign nation and I have more faith in the pound. Or it might drop, God, they left the euro, and all, you could totally see the international bankers, and you could totally see central banks dumping pounds to punish Britain, which would ironically make their exports a lot cheaper and would hurt the mainland economy of Europe. You can't win. You can only delay. I would say over the long haul, though, if Britain kicks ass and stops being a bunch of little pussies like mainland Europe and balances its budget and pursues growth and excellence and achievement and not equality and diversity at the expense of sovereignty, freedom, and finance and success, then the pound will increase against the euro. But we don't know. We don't know. I'm sure I could see some punitive, petty tit for tat. You left, like a jealous girlfriend, like you leave your girlfriend. I'll show you. I'm gonna, false rape claim, or I'm gonna slash your tires. So that's kind of what mainland Europe would do. Is they probably slash the guy's, the UK's tires or key the car, but it's not going to seriously cause any kind of detriment to the United Kingdom economy. So your stock markets would be fine, or the currencies. It'll stabilize. Don't worry about that. And then this one is weak. This is just so weak. I'm not kidding. I've heard, because I had to listen to the arguments for staying in the European Union. They're saying, well, Britain won't be part of Europe. Texas won't be part of America. Bullshit. Britain is Europe, you dipshits. Have any of you guys noticed history? Two-time World War champion. British fucking Empire. What else? Britain is not part of Europe? Are you fucking choking me? Dude, they're just as part of Europe as Texas is of America, as California is of America, as New York is of America. You know what? Europe won't be the same without Britain. That's what I'd be a little bit. That's kind of a defining characteristic and quality, and a good one, I might add. Because Magna Carta and some other fucking amazing shit might have happened that came out of that, private property rights and shit. So, you academians, you fucking professional politicians, you fucking Euro masturbators, shove it up your ass. You're nothing special. You wish you could have Britain. You're just pissed off, like, again, the jealous, spurned ex-girlfriend. And it's just, they won't be able to sit at the table. That was another, they won't be able to sit at the table. Why the fuck would we deal with Germany that's not allowed to have a military, and the rest of Europe, which still fucking needs us and NATO to fucking protect their asses? The United Kingdom kind of kicked its own ass throughout its entire history. Global power, has nuclear weapons, a fine navy. I don't think they need mainland Europe as much as mainland Europe needs them. I don't really think we really chatted with Spain about, what do we do, during the Cold War? I don't really think we chatted much with Spain about what they're going to do to stop the Soviets. I don't think we really talked much with Germany as we kicked their ass 2 times in a row and said, we're in charge now, we're going to divide you up. What Italy? Oh yeah, those guys, big major military power there. Yeah, you guys, you guys can't even protect your own sovereignty from a peaceful invasion, and yet you're going to claim that, Britain won't be part of Europe. They won't be able to sit at the table. It's like, yeah, you know what? We'll just directly deal with Britain like we do China, Russia, and all the other real countries in the world. Oh, so yeah, so those are the arguments that are for, and it's all fear-mongering. It's like, well, this could happen, that might happen. It's like, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of here. Let Britain go be its own country. You know what? They can always come back. Why don't you just let them go? If you want to come back, set them free. Yeah, but the ego of mainlander Europeans just won't happen. Now, it could be ego, but let's take a look at one other thing. Let's do a Cleary Test on the European Commissioner. Commission President. All right, now you can look at, here's what I'm going to bet. You can look up any one of these European commissioners, anyone who's over in Brussels, any one of these politicians, and I guarantee you're not going to find an engineer, an accountant, or anybody who's actually worked a real job. You are looking at a whole group of politicians, career politicians, who are worthless people. They have no real skills. They offer nothing of value. These are human beings that have no value. If they died, nothing bad would happen, only probably things good. They offer nothing to society. The only thing they can offer to society is the faux impression that they are managing the European Commission or managing the European Union. And when we look at them, we're going to find out that since they'll fail the Cleary Test spectacularly. professional politicians, all of them. And when you consider that, you're going to find out the only place that they could work would be government. They can't even get jobs in their own countries. That's how bad they are, right? So they are going to hold hostage 500 million Europeans under what is essentially a fourth and unnecessary and unelected branch of government, or layer of government, because they value themselves that much more. They're that lazy, and they're that huge egotistical, that they have that much of a huge ego, that they will do what's in the worst interest of 500 million, half a billion people, just so they can keep their fucking little jobs in Brussels. So let's look. President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. Luxembourg politician who has been president of European. Life and early education. Born in Luxembourg, so he's rich. Spent his childhood in Belleville. Studied at the Roman Catholic secondary school. That sounds expensive, but turned to study for his bachelorette at this other French place. He joined the Christian Socialist Party in 1974. Career politician. He's already from rich people. Master's in law, another worthless degree. He never practiced as a lawyer. He went into politics in 1970. Look at it. Just a fucking come on, really, what did you think was going to happen when you let this fucking parasite in? Hey, Juncker, you're a fucking parasite right there. You're not fooling this American over here. You see that? I mean, you could go through all the other members of the commission over in Brussels, but these people, really, again, they are so fucking lazy and so fucking egotistical. They think that they. Well, how old was this guy in 1974? When was he born? When was he born? Oh, come on, how old is he? I mean, what did he go into? Did he go into politics when he was like 20? Okay, so he's 54. And he went in at 74. So he went into politics at 20. What an egotistical little fucking fuck. What a little fucking pussy. He's been living off of you Europeans, and you pay for it. You pay for this fucker's salary. And he thinks he's someone. He doesn't know anything about you commoners. He doesn't know how to work. He doesn't know anything about the British. He doesn't know. He's never had a beer. He just drinks like this with his wine and his espresso with the other fucking Italian fags down south. Ciao. All right? So that it's not surprising to me that this fourth and unnecessary layer of government has been populated and honeycombed with inferior, worthless human fucks like this Jean-Claude Juncker. All right? So I would suggest, and this is where I land on it, the Brexit, not just because Brexit has the right to sovereignty, not to mention self-defense and not being parasited off of by the fucking parasitic scum of mainland Europe, not to mention the Middle East. But frauds and charlatans like this, these are the people who are telling you that you guys need to stay in the EU, because if you leave the EU, well then other countries might leave the EU, and this lazy fuck, this parasitic fuck Juncker would have to get a real job, and his hands are just too dainty. His hands are too. He has such soft skin. He can't work a real job. He's Jean-Claude Juncker. He's a rich little pussy. And he doesn't, oh God, physical labor, laying sod, putting in retaining wall. Oh no, Juncker, we wouldn't want that. Oh, I'd love to meet this guy in a dark alley. You wouldn't even know how to throw a left hook, too much energy. He'd probably have his dad hire somebody to throw a left hook for him. He'd have it like a gladiator or a substitute. Anyway, it's the scumbags like this. This is just another layer of government. It did have probably, it did have origins and a founding in good intentions and economic efficiency. But as with every other form of government, it's co-opted by the corrupt, by the lazy, by the parasitic who don't want to work. Just like our president of the United States, Barack Obama, never worked a real job. Okay? Nancy Pelosi never worked. I mean, you can look at and George Bush. You know, it's either side of the. Every once in a while, you'll find a genuine statesman. But guys, for you in the UK, do you want to have another fucking king? Do you really want to have another fucking royal lording over you that doesn't sit over at Buckingham Palace? Because that's what they view themselves as, and you're just peons and serfs to serve them. And unfortunately, this guy's lived the most. He reminds me a lot of who's the guy went to jail at the age of 70. He scammed people out of billions, and the whole point was, shit, the guy lived the life. Like, he got to live this luxurious life, and he'll probably only have to spend 10 years in jail. He got to drive Lamborghinis, all this other shit. This guy, same thing. This guy's had a kosher, cushy little lifestyle because you guys let it happen. So that's why I land. It's like, no. When I look at the people who head up the EU and are telling you to join it and stay in it, they're scum. They're self-invested, self-important scum, and they value themselves more than 500 million people on the planet. So that's why I would get out of it. Now, to get back to the specific questions, that's my take on the referendum. What does it mean for the euro? We already said that. The euro, I think the euro would actually go down in value because the United Kingdom is a rather large producer, but it's not. They're not part of the euro. I'm sorry, they're not part of the euro currency, so it would have no effect. But I think that would be a vote of no confidence in the European Union, and the euro would probably take a little bit of a hit relative to the dollar. And then let's go back to the other guy. Will the UK remain in the European Union on June 23rd? I think they will. I think there's too many stupid people in the United Kingdom. Also, I think women are dumb when it comes to voting as a group, not as a whole. 30% of women in the United States vote conservative, so they're obviously smarter. The remaining 70%, it's not that they're dumb, they just vote with their emotions. I think women will be susceptible. They'll vote disproportionately to throw away their sovereignty and to succumb to another form of government, to another layer of government. So I bet they will. And on top of it, I think they will fudge the figures. And even if the United Kingdom does leave, the politicians will just simply have another vote. They will keep pushing it down their throats until they get the vote they want, because that's what governments and tyrants do. In the event the UK does leave the EU, will they divest their sovereign funds from major European banks? I don't think so, although it wouldn't surprise me if these European banks that are in foreign countries and are owned by the central bank, not it could be physically owned, but also like the central bank says, we're not bailing you out if you. I wouldn't doubt if there's a little bit of car keying or tire slashing, where they'll do a haircut or they'll freeze their asses. That'd be a bit drastic, and that would almost set off a trade war with the United Kingdom and Europe. So I don't think that would happen, but it'll be much weaker, pathetic, petty, car keying, tire slashing type of stuff. You know, your girlfriend doesn't key your car in front of your face or slash your tires in front of your face. And I believe the European Union with the Jean-Claude or Paul Claude or Jean-Claude Junker pussies in the world, they don't have the balls to do it because that would require balls. So anyway, so hopefully that explains the Brexit in a little bit more crass and lewd real world way. There's a ton of videos out there explaining it in a very polite BBC, NPR sort of way, but that's really what's happening. That's basically what's happening. So I hope the United Kingdom and you guys actually have enough self-respect to remain the United Kingdom. I hope you guys have enough respect for British culture to maintain it and keep it going on into the future. But, if you give too many people the right to vote and they just vote for diversity and internationalism and globalization and tyranny and socialism, well, then Britain doesn't deserve to exist anymore. So best of luck to all of you. Toodles.